original bill, if you go to page 2 and start at line 17, you'll see letters I and J. What the amendment does is it simply deletes J on line 19, which had to do with the parking ordinances. What happened was the amendment that we discussed at the last meeting had inadvertently left that in and deleted I. And the committee determined they wanted to leave I, which had to do with license plate canvases for homicide shootings and other major crimes. And so we wound up, so we're gonna leave I in and just delete J. And that's the only difference from the previous amendment that the committee discussed.
Good job, Pete. Question?
Tim's got a question.
Under the present law, what can be done?
There is no present law. This is a new statute, there is no present law.
So if my town buys the cameras now, they have no,
They can't use them.
I
can they
mean,
use
I
it?
don't know the answer to that, I just know that this bill is enabling legislation.
No, they cannot use it.
Okay.
And this is enabling legislation.
With
Maybe some will get it and some won't, but it's enabling.
You recall, I remember the testimony, it was the chief in Hanover who wanted to get them, and Earl City said you can't do that. Because they had parking difficulties up there in the town, they wanted to get folks who are out there for parking, and this is why we stopped it. He said, no, chiefs can't go out and purchase this.
Actually, it was after they'd already been using them, and they were found to be violating the law, so he
Okay.
stopped using them.
All right. Yep.
Representing Allen,
Well, we've just been told by a proponent of this bill that the police in fact were breaking the law.
what do we do about it?
Excuse me, I'm speaking, I think.
Oh, are you? Please continue.
The police, we were just told, are breaking the law. Let's consider those 3 or 4 or 5 words. The police are breaking the law. How much confidence can we have in an organization that is breaking the law? How much confidence can we have if we enable them to get spying devices that they will not continue to break the law in the use of those devices? We have just heard this past week how the mayor of Nashua has been spied upon and her husband has been vilified for political purposes. We have just heard this past week that not only is the NSA spying on hundreds of millions of Americans and the German chancellor and other foreign leaders, but probably even the Pope. Breaking the law by police officials is not something we should allow in this committee, and it is not something we should further enable them to do by giving them more advanced technology so they can break the law and make each and every one of us similar to what the Russians were under the KGB and the East Germans were under the Stasi. I value individual freedom and liberty. That's why I will not be part of this bill. But I do have a question. Concerning the license plates and the parking violations, will they be able to get parking violations if this is approved or not?
Okay, yeah.
And what's the intent to make them being able to do that or not?
The-
Because we were told that one of the primary reasons for doing was so they could, as we're always told, catch somebody who may have murdered or kidnapped somebody. Does this bill continue to allow the parking ticket thing, and is it, if you have 10 or 12 or whatever on the parking ticket? How is that coming out in the final test?
It has been taken out.
Completely out.
Completely.
So they will not be able to use this at all for parking rights.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's something I don't understand here. According to this bill, the police officer's required to even introduce this bill, have a right to perform the duties that we're talking about. And I wonder also if somebody can specifically do this, if they don't have the authority now to do it, that this is a tool just to improve for them to be able to enforce the law. I keep hearing, I don't understand, the privacy and all that we're talking about here, but the thing is, it's legal now.
Well, it's not legal
No.
to have the scanner. It is legal for a police officer to stand on a street corner
and take down numbers and call in, all into the station and have them checked.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, that the scanner is not legal.
Well, that's why we have this bill.
Right,
And this bill would improve, it's not giving them any more power than they had before, other than the fact that they were improving with new technology. Like we have iPads, we have all kinds of new technology that's out there. So, and I'm not trying to say, I'm not in favor, of getting in on people's privacy. I think as well mentioned some of the issues that has happened in the state. But as far as this particular issue right here, I don't see where anything has changed other than for them to be able to improve on their job. They're there to protect the citizens. Now, I know that there is certain times that people do make mistakes, even police officers make mistakes. And sometimes police officers break the law. But that's true with everyone. But, that's the system. And you're not gonna change it, we're human beings. But again, with this particular bill right here, maybe I'm wrong unless somebody can prove to me that they can't do what they're doing now.
Representative Grady.
Would this be something that could be used in a case of an Amber Alert or something
Yes,
similar?
if they had
Yes.
to play.
Absolutely.
If someone calls into the station and says that they witnessed what appeared to be a child being abducted, or along a road, or something of that type, and they gave the description of the car, the license plate, would that be allowed then?
Yes.
When
But-
this is allowed?
Yeah, the scanning of the plate scans, and the only way that they can stop a car is by the bells and whistles going off on the scanner.
And then they visually have to confirm?
Then, yet they have to call back to the station and confirm it, and then they can stop the car.
Could I ask one more question?
Sure.
then? If they discover that a vehicle has been alerting them, by the scanner, and they discovered that the person who owns that car, drives that car, whatever, has certain dangerous capacities. It would be allowed then.
No,
I mean, if they,
if the only way that they could, the only way they can stop that car is if the number plate is in the database,
right,
because it has committed a crime, such
Right.
as stolen the car, such as Amber Alert, or for perhaps a murder in another state, then they can't
Standing warrants.
stop that car at that particular point. They have to call it back
right.
to the station.
So that's a checks and balances
Right.
type of thing. Thank you.
That's a checks and balance on just the technology may not have read the plate accurately.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
Representative Robinson.
Yeah, I guess my problem is, somebody murders their wife, gets in their car, and drives away, okay? Nobody knows she's dead. I happen to be standing in, down the street, and I noticed this car kind of leaving in a unsafe mood, and I look at it, and I take the number, okay? What's the difference between that and, gee, a policeman happens to be going by in his car, he doesn't know a crime's been committed, but the murderer drives by him, and he notices which way it heads on 89. But by the time he finds out there's been a murder committed the next day, when somebody finds the body, he has no remembrance of it, and his machine doesn't remember it, but they both saw, and at the time, knew who they were and where he was going, and so the murderer escapes. I don't understand this. Do I have to wipe out my memory, like the neighbor who saw this guy 5 minutes later? I don't remember seeing that. I mean, come on. It's in the memory. Why should it be erased?
Only for 3 minutes.
Right, it's in memory for 3 minutes, but when I find out the next day that probably there was a murder and probably that car was involved, but that memory's gone down the tubes unless I can remember it in my head. And that'll be the next thing, probably. Gotta erase that information in your head, and I have problems with that.
Representative Gordon, you have your hand up.
Yes, please. On page 2 of the original bill, lines 2 and 3, it says partial plate numbers or characters may be entered into the LPR in an attempt to identify suspected vehicles. And I'm afraid that if that's the way this was intended, if you just put in a very short number, a very short string, it's going to have a huge return of false positives. And I think that could be used to really round up a lot of people who have done nothing wrong. So I think that's one danger to this. But more importantly, on line 2, it says reported as a result of serious crimes. Can somebody on the committee help me with this and explain or define what serious crimes are referred to here?
I think it's listed,
Kidnapping.
it's listed in the bill.
In statute.
Is it defined somewhere?
Section 5.
Section.
So it's what pages it listed on.
Oh, I see. You're right below there.
Representative, are you finished, Representative Gordon?
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Representative Casper?
Thank you, Madam Chair. That 3-minute limit is troublesome to me. I was just doing some figures in my head the other day. If a cruiser and, let's say, a murderer are passing each other on the highway, and this thing can pick that up, it's going to pick that up, and let's say they're going 60 miles an hour both ways, which is pretty low, I think, on the highway. If that cruiser can do a U-turn within 30 seconds, he's got to go 90 miles an hour to close the distance with that other vehicle within 2 minutes to have a 30-second window to visually inspect that license plate to make sure it matches.
No,
That's a logistical nightmare.
no, that's not the way it works. The way it works is that the bells and whistles would go off on that number. Then he would contact his station. He would probably give him identification of where he was, and there's probably other police officers on the road. But he would not be making a U-turn because he does have to verify that number back to the station.
It says visually. Immediately visually confirm that the license plate on the vehicle matches the image of the license plate displayed on the LPR. That's a visual, that's not a radio call, because if it gives you a false positive and you call in that false positive, that doesn't help anybody, because you're still going to pull over the car. Whereas if you visually inspect it, say, oh, the machine gave me the wrong number, you let him go. It's a logistical,
I know
it's a logistical nightmare. I'm telling you, it's not going to work.
Representative,
Hi, just a couple of comments, one on Representative Robinson's point. I mean, if you take that to the extreme, I mean, then everybody's plate would be scanned all the time and held indefinitely to see if some crime was committed somewhere. I mean, I don't think that's possible, and I don't think the law would, I mean, this would not do that, and it certainly doesn't want to go in that direction. I think that's a nightmare. As far as Representative Tasser's point, I think if a policeman did this and triggered the alarm, and he wanted to do a U-turn, by the time he caught up with the car, he'd have a lot more information to confirm before he even pulled him over. He may catch up to him and realize, oh, that's not right. And, because at that point, the machine doesn't have the information anymore, but he has a visual. And
How does he know it's the same vehicle? If he lost visual contact, could be another vehicle.
Well, that's possible, but he would still call in the plate, or he would scan the new plate if it's a different vehicle. I mean, practically speaking, I can't imagine somebody getting pulled over at that point just because of the machine. I think there'd have to be a lot of other circumstances. either speeding or some other identification or some other just cause, probable cause that would end up with a pulling over.
Representative Allen.
Yes, there seems to be a problem here. Okay, amend, is it line 11 that they're taking out 5J? Is that where that's coming out?
19
19?
on the original.
Jim, would you stand up and explain to him?
In the original bill, on page 2,
Yeah.
beginning at line 17 through 19, what the amendment does is it leaves I in and it deletes line 19, J.
Which was the,
Which was inadvertently left in the last amendment.
and the 12,
So there's no reference at all, the final version of the bill, if this amendment is adopted, will have no reference at all to the parking violation.
But how do we know that the police, if they spot this car, are they gonna have a list of things they can't do? In other words, are the police going to know that, oh, I'm not allowed to check this car because it's a parking violation only? How are the police gonna know? It seems to me we're creating, not only my civil libertarian concerns, but we're making this worse for the police, because while they're doing all this stuff, spending hours and hours trying to verify what might not be there, they're not able to solve the real crimes that exist.
well, the 12 tickets will not be in there. So the license plate would not be put forth as a crime with the 12.
There was going to be a database with 12 tickets before?
There was
Now it's
before.
not going to be?
It's not gonna be. Representative Brody.
Yes, it's not like we're inventing the wheel here, you know, other states have already implemented this program, and I have heard many complaints, lawsuits concerning the implementation of this, procedure. I mean, I keep hearing here all the false things and how bad it is, and we're not the first state to be implementing this. And I guarantee you, if there would have been problems in other states, we would have definitely heard about it. But again, I'd like to emphasize what we are looking here is really not changing much of anything of what the responsibility of a police officer is. And we can try to mix this up in any way we want. And we can talk about privacy. Well, when you commit a crime, you let your privacy go, my friend. And that's what society's all about. You know, and so anybody that gets trialed and says, oh gee, they affected my privacy. Well, how are they gonna ever apprehend anybody? Let's be realistic here, what is happening? And I keep hearing all these false, these innuendos thrown out here and that, but again, that's their right to do so. But it doesn't mean that I have to support it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Robinson, everybody else has spoke that wanted to speak. Mr. Robinson is out. Oh, I'm sorry, dear. Two more. over
I
there.
would just say 3 minutes is ridiculously slight, maybe 3 hours, maybe 3 days. But to think that driving at whatever mileage you are, and maybe at the time you're stopping a speeder on your way to an accident or whatever, 3 minutes is just, you know, what's wrong with 3 hours and 3 days? More realistic.
I just wanted to mention to Representative Berube that there are issues. If you go on the internet, you can always look it up, and you'll see that there are issues in the different states with the scanner. And one of the big issue was that, like they say they're going to turn it off in 24 hours. It erases everything. 6 months later, they still had the information. Okay, so you can check it out. Just put police scanner in on the internet, and you can see whatever you want to see about it. Okay, but I'm going to go back to.
Representative Brody.
Oh,
Can I reply
Oh,
to
I'm
that?
sorry.
Can I reply to it?
No, no.
Okay, other people can reply.
we're all getting our hearsay
Right.
here, and after these next two speakers, we're gonna take a vote.
Okay. The other piece is, just as last week, I mentioned, the officer shall develop independent reasonable suspicion for the stopping or immediate confirmed visually. All right? Reasonable suspicion, what does that mean? Really, what does that mean? Because it might mean something different for you, me, or someone else in here. The other piece of that is that I literally have been going through Nashua asking. Last night was election for Nashua, so I was at the polls. Got even a better chance to ask constituents as well as other state representatives. Not one soul told me, Linda, vote yes for that. Not one soul.
Were you able to explain it all to them?
As best I
What it
could,
does?
based on what everyone mentioned the Amber Alerts, they mentioned serious crimes, etc. All right? I gave the whole shabam about it, why the police asked for it, to enhance their job.
Representative Byrd, did you want to say that?
I want,
You've already spoken twice, we're taking the vote after this.
My memory is, this
It's
is
legal
now,
as far as I'm concerned, I mean,
that's
you
what I'm concerned.
now, I'm ready.
yes.
My memory is, this has already been enacted in every other state except ours. It's been out there for a long time. I tell my students, no matter what documentary I show them, wherever you go, and whatsoever on the internet, how do you check it out to see whether it's factual and real? Most of the things on the internet aren't. And how do you check something that's fair and not biased, what the slanting is? So you can Google lots of things. That's a start, but where's the source? And certainly, this is just an updated tool. I have a bill coming up for distracting driving next time coming around. And I don't want the police officer texting, even looking at his computer screen. I want his eyes out there so he doesn't hurt anyone when he's driving. And this is the tool, bum, 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 a note. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. It's his safety. It's the safety of folks around him when he's driving that vehicle. And what's the first thing people want to know? Did they catch the guy? And nothing to do. I was trying to get a sense of people have a feeling maybe it might be profiling. Nowhere here's allowed to profile. There's already there's someone they're looking for, a person of suspicion. They want to talk to this person, and this is what they're going on. We saw this guy, we saw this plate number. They don't know until they talk to him. So when I say, hey, let's meet. Got time. Let's have a little conversation. This is what we want.
Representative Sharon.
I just had a head-on collision in my head.
It looks like it.
I have a lot of casualties. I just want you to envision this a little bit, and I'm trying to take some quick notes. I'm on a PD, and I come to work, and we have a briefing, which is fine. And now I start getting a bunch of number plates or names or whatever, car descriptions and so forth, let's say the Amber Alert, which is not only heard while you're in briefing, and you'll hear it on the radio as it occurs. And so now you already have that information. Now we have this new device, the scanner, who I remember when I went to radar school, it's out there reaching. It's reaching for number plates and so forth, and it's coming back with minor hits or no hits at all. And all of a sudden, you have a hit. And you look, and sure enough, it's relative to the Amber Alert. I am going to pursue that vehicle to find out who's in that vehicle. I wouldn't if I wasn't retired. Because that information is critically important to the safety of the individual who may be in the car. If grandma is driving the car now, then that's different. I can let her go. But there would be some questions. The other thing we need to remind ourselves of is enabling. And quite honestly, if this wasn't enabling legislation, I wouldn't be voting for it. I want my townspeople to decide if they want it or not. I want this to go from here and go to the floor of the House. And let the House decide up or down, whichever way. We know that, I guess, we're the only state that does this. Hasn't started doing this. And I can certainly see some advantage. I can care less about tickets. you know, it's just another way of bringing in revenue, which you should have had to begin with. And why they're not using other ways of, getting that revenue in. It'll do that, I'm taking that off. I'm just saying that I think it could be an advantageous tool for law enforcement. But I'm also gonna say this. These past 2 years on this board, as well as being up here, has been very distressing to me personally. And why do I say that? There's so damn much going on outside this building and inside this building because we are losing our rights. I truly believe that. I know damn right well when I'm sorry, put the dams in the house, that's the French part that comes out. Driving up here, everybody knows that I drove here today. We could go back with cameras and everything else. Or when you see every night on the news, do you ever notice when they do a picture, some artist comes up and does a picture of a person described in a robbery? Do you ever notice how they all look alike? So I jokingly will tell my wife, I know him. It's the same picture. The video captures with mask. And I'll tell her, I know him too. So there's a lot more work that goes beyond the video. Now you do have folks that don't care about the video, they just go in, and I feel bad for these little corner stores, because they're the target right now. But what would we do without those? You'd have somebody that could hit 12 stores, and they'd never know who it was. So there are some advantages. But we've discussed this before in this committee, when we're talking about posting on the front of the store, that if you come in here, realize that you're being videotaped. So my only thing here is I think it could be a good tool if it is used appropriately. And can we guarantee that it will be used appropriately? No, you can't. Because you can have a maverick or a rogue out there, and it happens. But I think it's important that we move this thing out of this committee, put it to the House, and let's have an up and down on it.
Yay.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now take the vote.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes,
I believe House rules forbid calling of a question when other people are still in line to speak. When you say
Everyone
it's
on
legal
this-
as far as I'm concerned, the chair does not have the right to override House rules. I have brought this up with the current speaker and with past speakers. House rules are clear that you cannot vote when people still have questions
well,
or
why
comments.
don't you express your opinion since you're so set on it? We've heard it 3 or 4 times. I'm giving you that right to speak.
To acknowledge that the question cannot be brought when people...
I'm not acknowledging anything. You're saying that you want to speak.
I think Representative Berube had his hand up as well. It wasn't just I that wanted to speak.
Well, you've spoken 3 times on this matter already.
I did not speak 3 times. I spoke once and then asked one question.
Are you going to speak or not?
No, I just want it made clear that what you were attempting to do was a violation of House rules.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we will vote.
Motion.
Well, this is
What's the motion?
This is an executive session. We need motion.
I move that we pass the bill.
You have to move the amendment first.
Move the amendment, yes, that's right, move the amendment. Oh, thank you.
Let me get a discussion about it.
The amendment. We are now moving on the amendment. If you're in favor, you will vote yes, and if you're opposed, you will vote no. And we all need to remember this is enabling legislation. It does not force cities and towns to do this.
Okay, and the amendment is 2343H.
Yep.
Because it'd be an unfunded mandate as a cost.
Right.
Okay,
I'll just vote against it.
amendment.
This is better or worse? I think Steve vote for it. I think it needs to be redrafted. 20 minutes.
Okay.
Cushing.
Yes.
Ruby. Robertson.
No.
Burridge.
Yes.
Corbett,
Definitely yes.
Grady,
Yes.
Harriet,
No. I
Correct.
take that back, I wanna pass with this one. Yes, I'm sorry. I say yes to this. We're just accepting this, correct?
The amendment only.
Yes,
I know.
sorry.
okay, Harriet, yes. Hirsch,
Yes.
Ahern, Sharon, yes. Fields,
Aye.
Pesh,
Aye.
Villeneuve,
Yes.
sorry,
Yes.
Parsons,
No.
Tasker,
Yes.
Wadden,
Yes.
Valencourt,
Yes, on the amendment.
Kamlakis,
Yes.
have 15, 1.
Two.
There's 17 of them.
I'm sorry, I do have 15 too. Yeah, okay.
And now we will take the call as soon as the clerk is ready on the ought to pass as amended. Yes.
Is it too late for a question about the content of the bill?
Is it, Steve?
Of course not, we just
No,
had a
we
motion on
accepted
the
it.
amendment, the debate should begin anew.
He says it is.
The amendment is, we're now debating the entire bill.
Yeah, you can.
It just occurred to me in the last 5 minutes, I was looking at the amendment that passed.
Right.
But I'm looking at the original bill, and I'm looking at page 2, Roman numeral 5, and I'm looking at C. It says persons, I would say, who have defaulted court appearance. And I'm wondering, it just struck me that that could also apply to parking tickets, couldn't it? So I mean, have we really accomplished anything by deleting,
So it's more
Jay.
reason to say no to
if
it.
that stays?
Do they now issue warrants for parking tickets?
Bench warrants, I believe.
Yeah, they do,
warrants for not appearing.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure, that's the fault.
yeah. Yeah.
You want to answer the gentleman?
Oh, I was just opening my mouth. If a person obviously has to go to court relative to appearances and whatever, you know, it's a default if they fail to appear. And usually a warrant is issued.
So J, removing J doesn't necessarily solve what we wanted it to, if C is still there.
Well, yes, it does, because that's a big difference. So maybe you're not paying your tickets, okay, that's one thing. But when it comes to the attention of the court, and okay, come on in and see us about these 20 parking tickets, and you've given proper due notice, you know, all the due process, and you say, screw it, I'm not going down there, I'm not gonna pay those tickets, I don't see that guy. Well, you're now well, default's a nice word. That's like a computer thing. But now you're not obeying an order.
You've ratcheted it
Illegally
up.
giving, yeah, you ratcheted it up big time. Due process and notice. I'm trying to think of another word that's not coming to me. Yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you, I just wanted.
I think it solves a problem because it stated there 12 parking tickets. It might never have got to the court level yet. So we did take that out. And it's now, anything is at the court level.
Okay.
Did someone else?
Yeah.
That's it.
One other thing that I just wanted to mention, and I was pulling out my paperwork from way back when we first did this. Another notation I had here from, I guess from the people that came to talk to us about it. It says the scanner does not differ between New Hampshire and Mass plates. So the reality of it is, if it could be Massachusetts that they're really looking for, but the plate's the same as mine, so I would conceivably be stopped and harassed as well.
That's a lot of false positives.
No, that's why you have an
That's what this
eye
says.
visual thing.
In 3 minutes, not long enough.
I'm telling you. I remember the question was asked, I made the note in bold red here. The scanner does not differ between New Hampshire and Mass plates.
That's right.
But that's where you have the officer comes into play and does a visual. The scanner may go, because my number, I used to have 666 on my plate, I loved it, right? Look here. But the officer says, oh, is this, I said, oh, it's a New Hampshire plate we're looking for, not a Massachusetts plate. That's the officer visualization of what the standard
So
is.
is that the reasonable suspicion?
Not if it's not.
I'm just asking.
That a number matches, they would an officer would start to think, what's going on here? Is this what I'm looking for? But if he was given something early in the morning to call him, we're looking for New Hampshire 666, okay, there you have it. But now he's seeing, oh, it's a 666. Oh, okay, but it's not New Hampshire, it's Massachusetts. Okay, turn the sucker off, whatever, it'll disappear.
I'm finished.
Representative Tasker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If we're going to rely so heavily on the visually confirmation, I don't think three minutes is the right number to have in this bill.
Okay. Representative Ruby and then Sharon.
Again, I keep hearing, before we even pass this type of legislation, but in the country, I can remember being in the Navy and going on a New Jersey Turnpike, and I had the Hampshire plates, and all of a sudden, where a trooper had been shot and killed on the New Jersey Turnpike, they, all of a sudden, this cruiser comes in the back of the state police, and God, and lights going and everything else, and he's jumping out and come right out and says, hey, spread eagle, and through the whole process and everything. And I said, gee, and finally they had made a mistake. And they says, thank you very much. We'll hunt for someone, and shot a trooper, and it was a procedure. Now we've got a bit to be able to verify it much faster if we ought to pass this piece of legislation, which is enabling. So when I go back, so again, yeah, they do make mistakes, but that and all, if they go through the proper procedure, nobody's getting hurt. And as a good citizen, I thought they did the right thing when they pulled a pistol on me, and because, hey, they weren't gonna take a chance. And they were protecting themselves too. So this is what law is all about. Do we want law or don't we want law in our country? If we don't want no laws, then we, hey, no, we're going backwards. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Sharon, then Hurst.
I was just thinking, I just want a reasonable,
That's correct.
the issue, again, here was the three, this was the head, wow. This was the three collision. Probable cause. I was trying to think of that word, you know, when you're retired, you tend to sit down and watch TV. Anyway, probable cause, you can stop a car just for tail light being on. I didn't need a scanner if I had it at the time. You know, reasonable suspicion, that's still within that same category. A tail light, a headlight. I can stop a car and I want to be nice and I want to tag it. And all of a sudden, there's pot plants flying out the back window. Then it turns into something totally different. But I had a right to stop that car. So, the ability to stop a vehicle is still out there, just with, you know, probable cause. So I can't get hung up on the reasonable suspicion list.
Representative Hurst.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no, there's been a lot of discussion about the 3-minute part of this bill, but I wondered, there's nothing in this bill that would prevent an officer from rescanning 5 minutes later if he caught up with the car, to scan again. Or, I mean, there's nothing against repetitive scanning after any amount of time. So the 3 minutes really, in a way, becomes, I mean, it's a security thing for retaining the number, but it doesn't control or affect any future scanning, right? Is that the way you
Right,
understand?
but the 3-minute was put in there because Representative Kirk, who is very precise on how he feels about privacy, asked that be put in, and it was. And it was long enough for people to get the person who needed, or it was just a scanner is all it is. There's no addresses with this, nothing. It's just scans a plate number.
So 4 minutes later, you can scan again?
It certainly can. I don't know if they'd be in the same area, but yes, it can.
Well, if they were in pursuit or if they, you
Yeah,
know, or
yeah.
something.
Yeah. Representative Tasker.
Yes, reasonable suspicion is a lower standard of proof than probable cause. So couldn't we put probable cause in here to develop probable cause?
Representative Gott.
Sure.
Did you have to?
Oh, no, no, I didn't.
Representative Burbidge.
The word I couldn't think of before, the same reason that Representative Sharon talked about. I used to be retired, now I'm going full-time, is the word contempt. So if you get an order from the court, an order of appearance, you don't come, you are in contempt. You know, given due process, was there proper notice? How do you know they really got it? Was there service done? Was it done personally or signed receipt? So besides a warrant, the issue is the word is contempt. I couldn't think about it. And this is sidetracked. I'm sorry to do this, but I'm having a balance for a moment.
You've spoken 4 times now.
Okay. I filed a House bill because we're now in contempt of a Supreme Court decision. It's called Claremont. We have an order to fund something. They've said it twice. And the Executive Council, the Executive Branch, and the Legislative Branch are in contempt of a Supreme Court decision, interpretation of our contract, of our Constitution, right? We're not doing, and what they want to do in the meantime, oh, let's change it so we're not in contempt. But meanwhile, we're still in contempt. I have an issue with that, a
So
big
all our
issue.
plates are in there?
I'll talk about how to fund education, my dear.
Representative Roy.
Thank you. I'd like to point out that the committee received emails from constituents around the state, and I believe there were a half dozen that spoke out against this legislation over the last couple of weeks. Nobody that I saw sent a note in favor of this. It's really the only people asking for this bill are the police departments. And I think the vast majority of people out there whom we supposedly represent aren't really asking to give the police force more ways, better technology to spy on people and to surveil them. So I think it's doing a disservice to our constituents to pass this bill. Thank you.
Representative Allen. Did you want to speak?
I didn't have my hand up, but
Well, I thought you did.
I would happily if you so. I think if I realize I can count votes, and I realize there's a vote to pass this, but some very alarming things have been said here today, and I hope that we will not allow these alarming things to stand. For example, Representative Berube said that there are no problems. Representative Garthwaite has put the lie to that statement. There have been problems shown. Representative Warden sent us emails where problems were shown. We have had problems in other states. We have had our constituents express concern to us, Representative Berube. So while you will vote for this bill, you cannot change the facts. The other thing that Representative Berube alluded to that is very disturbing is that this bill sent, I'm sorry, Representative Fields?
So we shouldn't be attacking our members.
I'm rebutting his comments.
Well, I think you can change the way you attack person.
Don't lie.
Representative Berube also expressed that anybody who breaks the law should give up his rights, should be caught. That presumes something that is absolutely antithetical to the United States philosophy that you are innocent until proven guilty. That kind of comment typifies you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent. That's what's wrong with this bill. That's why, Representative Sharon, when you say that you can't guarantee it will not be used properly, we should not be giving more powers, and we cannot be guaranteeing that it will not be used improperly, and we should not be giving more powers when it elicits a guilty until proven innocent philosophy.
Madam Chair, I'd like to point out, I did make the statement, that, and I'll clarify it for you. You have to be proven guilty, we all know that. That's common sense, okay? Sometimes people use common sense, and some other people don't. So the fact is, I did make the statement, you do lose your right when you have gone to court and you've been convicted. You know that? And I'll be very clear. So don't play with words with me, sir.
Did
I don't attack anybody.
All right.
You're attacking me right now,
But
sir.
you attacked me first.
I just pointed out that what you said is not true, that we have gotten concerns, and there have been proven, as Representative Garthwaite pointed out, that there are concerns.
On the internet, my friend.
Not on the internet, I've gotten them from newspaper articles.
Go ahead.
They were here, Representative Warden sent them to you.
Take a vote.
There are none so blind as he who will not see, sir.
I'm ready. We're having a debate. Yeah, I know.
Representative Fields.
Yeah, I've been, I haven't said much today at all, but,
Keep it that way.
I'm gonna support this only for the fact that it gives another tool for a lot of things that do go on out there. As far as my email, I got 6 people that emailed me, and when I looked it up, they were labeled as libertarian, which it doesn't matter to me. I'm just saying, I know the group that sent me the emails, so they have a right to do that. And I have my right not to answer it, or I have my opinion. I have not heard anybody against the bill other than just a few select people that are out there. And that's okay, I respect that. I do not attack people, I don't care about that, that's not my role here, but we can agree to disagree, and I respect that in this committee. And I would like everyone to do that. And I've been here quite a while, but the other thing I like too about this is it's enabling. And I think if we were mandating, I think I would have maybe a slight problem, I don't know. But I think this is another tool that law enforcement, because I know we've had a lot of robberies in our area, up in Tilton, Sanderson, and Skip Roads. And I know that a couple cars that went by, even my own road. And I picked up a plate number one day, somebody was really going like that. Found out that later they had robbed the house on the wall. So the police did get him, but if he had a scanner, when he was sitting down at the end of the road on Bay Road, next to Tilton, he probably could have picked that car up, knowing that that was that number when it was called in. So I think it's a good tool, and, you know, I respect the people that don't want any laws, they want to just go back to the old cowboy days and have their fun and all that stuff, and I respect that. And on the computer, I also got a message about our chair, which I wasn't taking too exciting about people putting our chair lady down here. I think that's disrespectful, and I don't like that coming from my computer from other members. I appreciate they stop at least on my computer doing it. And I was the one that said if you didn't do anything wrong, you could have put my name in there too when you did it, because I was the one that said if you're not doing something wrong, then you shouldn't have to fear the police. And I'll stand by that.
Representative Robinson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just point out that you're innocent until you're proven guilty, but you certainly are arrested a long time before you're proven guilty. That's why you have a trial, but in the meantime, you could be spending a large time in jail awaiting your trial, and certainly you should and could be arrested.
Representative Hurst. You wanted to speak?
No, I'm all set.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. I think it's quite obvious that society has changed, and not necessarily for the better for a variety of reasons. However, I don't think that we could have suspected that 9/11 would have happened. What the changes are since then are dramatic, all across the board, and in the interest of safety for society. We may only be looking for 1 or 2 individuals, 12 individuals, whatever. Society has changed. And it's been an unfortunate result of having to subject ourselves to rather invasive mechanisms to find those culprits, all of us. If anyone forgets that the name of our committee is Criminal Justice and Public Safety, that requires that we watch out for everyone to the best of our ability. In addition to that, I would ask everyone on this committee to put a price, whether it be liberty, your own, or a monetary price on a child's life. I'm sorry, Mr. Valencourt, that is important to me. It is very important to me. I'm sure that it is very important to others. Minutes count. Precious minutes count. And when we lose those minutes, we sometimes, more often than not, lose that child. If I can do something to help save that child, to find that child, or anyone else who has committed such an atrocity, as has happened in my own family, I'm gonna do it. Thank you.
Well, since I was mentioned by name,
You mentioned my name.
and you responded. Yes, minutes do count, and that's why we're losing children, not saving them by this, because while they're chasing down false leads, numbers that may not be in there from another state, those are minutes that they could be spending getting the real people. That's why minutes count. That's why what you want to say is a good thing is really not a good thing. So to try to label us who oppose this as being anarchists or being cowboy mentality, and then to say you don't attack other people when you call them cowboys. And I just have one question, can I ask one question? Representative Fields, do you check on the emails of everybody that sends you to see if they're libertarians? I mean, you said you checked on the emails from 6 people. I mean, does everybody that sends you an email get checked out? I've never checked. Well, I was just interested to see.
It has nothing to do with this
It
bill.
has plenty to do with this bill,
It
because
does not.
we're talking about
You're out of order.
I'm going to continue, Madam Chair, we're talking about privacy. A member of this committee said he checks up on everybody that sends him an email.
That is his right as an American.
It is his right as an American, for sure, but the public has a right to know if members of this committee are checking up on everybody that sends them an email.
Why, they don't mind, it doesn't matter that you put
check
out
the
people
voter
out on
registration.
YouTube.
The question is, do you check on everybody that sends you an email? You do that, you're
When I
saying.
feel like it.
Good for you.
Representative Valencourt, I asked you if you think it's right that
You're
you talk
attacking me on
about
the
me
committee
on
for
your,
God's sakes.
on your blog.
I talk about everybody on
No,
my
you
blog.
don't, you
do.
use my
You
name
attack
quite
everyone.
frequently.
No, I talk about everybody that's in the news. I only use your name because I got an email, and all I did was communicate that email. I did not specifically denigrate you. I just posted what everybody else had posted. I was very respectful to you. I was respectful to you last year when people went and talked to you about the speaker. So you cannot say I've denigrated you. All I've done is reported the news, and I have never looked up anybody that sent me an email to see what party they were from or what constituency they represented. To me, everybody has a right to send something without being investigated by people on this committee.
Well, I'm just saying that you use, check on other people, and other people have a right to check on
I don't check on
people.
anybody at all. I just passed along information that came forward. It wasn't a check on
You
you.
didn't notify that paper
What paper?
that was listed in that email?
Did I notify them?
Yes.
Something that goes over the internet is free information. It can be used by anybody.
There you go.
You don't have to notify them. But I didn't look on that person's political affiliation. I didn't investigate everybody that sent me an email. I had hundreds of emails
Right.
on the gun issue earlier. And did I look up on anybody to see if they were a member of the NRA or a libertarian group? No, and I think it's anathema to the spirit of this House to investigate people that send us emails.
Okay. Representative Tasker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Grady makes a good point. I think that is a compelling interest to have the Amber Alert numbers, limit the bill to Amber Alerts. Limit the bill to Amber Alerts. It- I want it to be just Amber Alerts.
Okay. Has everybody spoke? Okay. Yes.
Let's go one of them.
I think I'm going to support this bill. I've been back and forth, and I understand the concerns of privacy and potential abuse, but I don't want to deny the towns to have such a colorful debate as we're having. And for one, and two, during the quieter moments, I looked up some of the problems some of the other states were having, and I think our bill addresses some of those. One of them is some states have been holding data for months.
Right.
Especially in New York.
We don't. Two, many states just mount them on bridges. We have to have them accompanied by an officer, which I think helps that sort of just random placement. And three, I mean, it's up to the towns. I mean, they're $20,000 to $23,000 per device, which, some towns may not want to support anyway, regardless of their philosophical stand on these. But that should be their choice. And I think we've done as good a job as we can with this bill, and will it solve everything? No, but I'd like the towns to make the final decision, so I'm going to support it.
Are we ready to take the vote now?
There's no motion yet.
Yes, there's, I move.
He did?
You did? Who seconded it?
You have a second?
He seconded it.
Who's second?
Who did?
Burridge
Yeah,
and,
or pass.
Burridge and Bovee.
I missed that.
Ought to pass as amended. Dell?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Fishing,
No.
Ruby,
Yes.
Robertson,
Reluctantly, yes, and knowing it's coming back to have the time change.
What? What is that?
It was the time change to go to daylight saving time.
They'll be sending it back to us. The community.
right at Atlantic time a few years ago.
The community.
Burridge,
Okay.
Yes.
Wabak,
Yes.
Grady,
Yes?
Harriet,
No.
Hirsch,
Yes.
Sharon, yes. Fields,
Yes.
Besh,
Yes.
Villeneuve,
No.
Parsons,
No.
Tasker,
No.
Wadden,
No.
Valencourt,
No.
Panalakis,
Yes.
10-7, I think.
I have a 10-7.
Okay, does anybody want to write a minority report?
There will be one.
There
We're
will
not
be
sure
one.
who will be writing it, but there will definitely be one.
Okay.
Right?
What's our deadline on that,
When will
Monday.
when will the report be
Jim?
due?
Today, I believe. Do they have to be
Jim?
done today,
For the,
Jim?
The blurbs?
Well, the sooner the better, yes.
Because we're going to
Well,
send
the
them
sooner,
to the speaker.
the sooner the better is a rather nebulous phrase. Last week I did mine immediately at noon and then was told they weren't due until the next week. If we have longer than today, I'd like to know what time they're due.
They are due today,
What time today?
by 4 o'clock this afternoon.
seems arbitrary.
Take a quick break.
We're coming right back.
Are we doing something after this?
This was on our desk. Earned time credits. I'd be happy to.